Thanks for figuring out your tickets.
You're welcome.
I think we have everybody now except for Lawrence.
Okay, you set that up. I'll go get my phone.
Did you meet Jessamine when you were in Toronto? Can't remember if you guys met. Anyway, she's our latest sign up. She just signed up today.
Oh wow.
So we have 8 people. So there's still 4 more spots, and there's like 8 maybes. So I'm hoping this will get some of the maybes to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have an ad in Catalyst again. Good? Okay, I texted you the number for us to call in.
Let's see if I like this.
And I got shirtless.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna shirtless for you.
You know. Oh, that's better.
You're so cute.
All right, and I could throw some more light up here in a second. So this now, can you does this record on your phone at the same time?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, you record it. You say save afterwards.
So
You want
let's
it?
put if we put it
Okay.
here
Okay.
when we're ready, that'll be great. Hold that. I'll just get a little bit more light up here. And then you can call in. Monique.
Okay.
You can figure that out. Put that on speaker.
719-688-5555. 719-688-5555. 719.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait and you will be joined into the conference.
Look at you, fancy man.
That's what we do. We make it fancy. So can you do me a favor?
Yes. What would you like to?
And plug that into that.
Part of your extraordinariness.
And plug it in underneath the one on the far end.
Here.
That one, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
You might want to text Nate and see if he's close.
This is the magic.
Denmark wants us to come back and teach at the burner everything, and we're going to be the keynote speakers at the Denmark Tantra Festival again next year, and
Oh my God.
just beautiful out there. And we have a pretty rich couple that has, here, let's turn this down, that has their own off-the-grid property that they want us to come do a week-long retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like 22 people at our Ireland events. And we had like 25 people in London. So it's quite exciting.
It is exciting.
I think next summer we're going to stay there for 8 weeks instead of 6 weeks.
Well, that's a little bit better.
Can we?
Oh, look at this.
Can you text Nate and just say, are you, like, what's your ETA?
All right, Mr. Knight.
Do you just want his number?
Yes.
619 633 4256. There you go.
4256.
Yep. You're so cute.
Okay.
Does that move your camera? Or that's the record?
No, I'm changing the quality of the light. There you go.
Here, let me set over so you have her. That's great lighting, honey. You're so cute.
I can make it a little bit better. Give me 1 second. How much time do we have?
Well, we have to wait for Nate to record the call. We can start this. Whenever.
Hello! What are we talking about, Monique?
We're going to talk about self-love and self-acceptance and self-accountability and what it takes to be an extraordinary facilitator. And you get to talk about one mistake that you've made and what you learned from it. And then let people ask questions.
All that shit.
Nate?
Hey.
Yay! I'm glad you made it. ETAs now? That's great.
People are starting to join.
Perfect. So, hello everybody. This is Monique, and we're going to start the call in 3 minutes. So, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Welcome.
Thanks for doing the magic behind the scenes stuff, Nathan Darling.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the sweetness. Oh.
That's Reid doing his singing. It's
Me,
almost
me,
time.
Me. Me.
If you can't tell, those of you that are on the phone, we're very, very excited. And if you happen to be near Facebook, we're also going to be doing a live broadcast so you can actually see our faces while we're talking on the phone.
Good Lord.
Imagine that. All right, so Nate, I'm going to go ahead and start the Facebook feed so we can say hi to everybody. And so at 3 o'clock, just start the recording. And when we hear the recording started, then we'll start the call. Okay? Thank you. All set?
I think so.
Uh-oh. Inside over a little bit.
What? No!
Now we gotta play.
I ruined it.
No, it's perfect.
I broke the internet.
All right. Hi, everybody. So if you're joining us today live, as you know, I love to do these live videos because it's like a parade for me every single time. And this time it is, Reid, it's a parade.
I did not consent to a parade.
That's okay, it's a parade for me. You're the guest star. So
Well, so first up, can you just go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3?
1, 2, 3,
Well,
1,
don't
2, 3.
say it to them.
Why I want to say it
Because
there.
you're not going to talk to that the
Okay.
whole time.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
And then, hello everyone. Can you? Is the sound okay? Give us a chatty, text.
Brian, Shiraz, can you guys hear us?
I just want to hear from somebody that you can hear us fine.
Michael, yeah, Shiraz says yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yay.
All right. So let's talk.
So you're joining us today, other than that I love to get on Facebook Live, is that Reid and I are talking about the transformational intensive for extraordinary facilitators happening this November.
And who are you? Just in case they've invited their friends and they don't know, they're like, who are these two people?
Well, I'm Monique Darling, and I love being an extraordinary facilitator, and I love being able to dive deep with people and being able to find out where are the vulnerable places that, to me, it boils down to two questions. What is it that you're truly afraid to ask for? Whether you think that you don't deserve it or whatever the stories and things that are happening in your head, then what are the things that you're truly, truly afraid to ask for? And where are you holding yourself back in your life?
The recording has started.
Yay, the recording has started.
Hi, everybody.
We're also
Welcome.
doing a teleclass thing too. This is so much technology.
It's so much fun.
So, hello everybody, it's Reid Mihalko from ReidAboutSex.com and
Monique Darling, and you're joining us for the second to last call for our transformational intensive. And so we're going to get started and get to talk about some of my favorite things after Reid introduces himself.
Okay, so hello everybody. This is very, very fun because this is my Facebook Live virginity
Really?
being taken. Yeah, this
Honey,
is.
I've been doing that all week.
I know. So this is my first Facebook
Wow.
Live situation, and
I'm
as a geek and
honored.
as a nerd, I'm super excited by. Hello everyone. And there's Daniel and Margaret, Kat, Kelvin. This is like that romper room where it's like I see David and I see Kat.
It's a parade.
It's a parade. It's a parade. So my name is Reid Mihalko from ReidAboutSex.com. That's REID aboutsex.com. I do a lot of different things in a lot of different communities. I'm one of the co-founders of Cuddle Party, which was created in 2004 and turned into a national media sensation, and that was a non-sexual communications workshop on touch and affection. And of date, now I'm also the creator of Sex Geek Summer Camp, and that's my Sex Geek Summer Camp t-shirt, which I was going to wear, but it was kind of too dark for this background. And we are broadcasting live from the little nook that's up in the top of the loft that I live in Oakland, California. And I'm sitting here next to a really good friend of mine and somebody that I've known for a really long time, Monique Darling. And you have this transformational facilitator week thing that you do, and I'm going to be making an appearance at it. And so
You're one of the main guests.
Which means I'm one of the people who could blow the whole thing.
Yeah, he's going to blow your mind in an amazing way. It is great. And Reid also wrote the foreword for my book that came out this year, all about cuddle parties and taking the rules from that extraordinary workshop that he developed into living your life. And so you can see him there.
Yeah.
And it's a great book.
And I'm super impressed with all of the business side of things that you have done, and that your facilitator training is, the way that I understand it, aimed at sex educators and healers and workshop leaders. So I just want to congratulate you, and I'm excited that you're doing it for your second year, and that I get to be a part of it. And as somebody who nerds out on business and marketing and how do you create make a living reaching people and transforming lives, I just want to say congratulations on all of your achievements. And it excites me that you're passing on and helping shorten learning curves for other educators out there around how to just be amazing at facilitating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Usually then we talk about why I did the training a little bit later, but since Reid's brought it up and it feels alive, then I want to say it now, is that it's really a conglomerate of 10 amazing teachers, myself included, that most of them, all of them have changed my life in some way or another. Reid's the one that actually, like, I went to my first cuddle party as being a Mormon housewife, and had I walked up to the doorway and he opens the door and he's like, Monique, can I give you a hug? And it was the first time anyone had ever asked if they could touch me, and it just started opening up these places inside of me that gave me permission to start finding out who I am. And so this intensive is about bringing together all of these pieces, because so many people will say, I want to do what you do, Monique. So this was the fastest way that I know how to shorten your learning curve so that you can do what I do, but do it with your own flavor and your own flair. And so the whole week long, it's November 1st through 7th. And this time it's in Florida. And every single day, then you're going to get different teachers that are going to bring the best of their best and help you be able to pick and pull from the skills and the hacks that will help you be able to be the most extraordinary facilitator that you want to be. And the reason that I invited Reid to come to the intensive is because he's actually the most extraordinary facilitator on this planet that I've ever come into contact with. You really, really are. And I've been, as most of you know, that I collaborate with a lot of people, and I really enjoy that space of collaboration. And Reid started that whole thing with me when we started doing some classes together, and he's still one of the first people that I can't wait to call. And for this intensive itself, then he's wrapping it up. So you get to learn all week and get your edges pushed, hopefully. And then Reid's going to actually help you have these specific tools and skills to be able to write your mission statement, to be able to start making money at what it is that you love to do. And he has all these specific skills. A lot of them are from Sex Geek Summer Camp, and just the way that he's learned and put in all of this time and effort to be able to learn, and how, like, he's just so passionate about helping all of us be able to find a way to do what we love and make a living at it. And so he'll give you his top things. He's so great. Like, his number one motto is, well, that I've heard over and over again, is leave the campsite better than you found it. And he does that exemplary.
Yeah, thank you. Aww. So I'm looking. Can I touch the
I think you can.
comments? I'm just looking at comments. So leave some comments if you have questions, and I'll try to get to some of them. So for those of you who are asking about Cuddle Party facilitator stuff, you can check out cuddleparty.com and click on how to become a facilitator. For those of you who are asking about Sex Geek Summer Camp, go to sexgeeksummercamp.com and you can sign up for free training videos, and then it'll invite you and show you how to register for camp. And for those of you who are geeky about the meta, and by meta I mean, as we're teaching, as we're talking, I'll point out what we're doing. That would be what I would teach you how to reach people and start to build a business. So the meta here to be looking at is that we're using Facebook and using their new feature, Facebook Live, because that's not that old, to reach you all, and then talk about an event that Monique's putting on. We'll invite you to check it out, learn more, and register if you feel so called.
The link in the comments.
Put the link in the comments, and then you've got, there's only a couple of spots left.
Yeah, there are only 2 spots left.
For this training. So as we're doing this, if you feel really called for it, then go register, because somebody else might steal your spot.
And you can find it on whereintheworldismoniquedarling.com.
Whereintheworldismoniquedarling.com to go find how to register for the Transformational Intensive. So that's the meta part that's happening. And then the other piece around leaving the campsite better than you found it has a lot to do with, in my opinion, that you're just always teaching and you're always educating. And what we came up with at Sex Geek Summer Camp, which is, we use a little picture of Abraham Lincoln, and the acronym is ABE, which is always be educating. And so I'm a proponent and a nerd of going to other people's seminars and geeking out on techniques and tools and what's helping other people be successful and make progress in business. So I'm kind of a business seminar nerd. And what I do with teaching all of the tools to help empower educators in how to make a business is I'm going to encourage you to go out and look for those tools for yourself and always be learning. But from a business perspective as an educator, teach people for free and then invite them to come to events that have more structure or programs or courses that have more structure, and will help people implement the information that you give away for free. And that's the stuff that you, for the most part, charge for. But in this video here, the reason I'm asking you to leave some questions is I want to answer them. I want to teach while I'm helping here. I want to help you because some of you won't come to the training, or maybe it'll sell out and you won't be able to come, but we can still help you in this call. So in whatever products, whether it's an article, whether it's a video, your YouTube channel, whether you're retweeting something for, that you think is important for people to learn, you being able to give people information and change their lives for free, to make an impact, to just show them that they don't have to be so ashamed of who they are and their desires, that change and transformation and reclamation and creating a life that they want is possible. Like, we're already in the realm of the information, and the tools you're giving people are priceless. Mm-hmm. So you can't, there's not really like, what number do you put on helping somebody, reclaim their sexual agency and then go build the life of their dreams, right? And so, because you and I have a history where you came to a lot of my stuff when you were still a Mormon housewife.
Yes, I did.
I mean, like
driving everywhere to come find you
and with your family often.
Myself, yeah.
There's not a way, you can't put how many dollars per hour on that. Mm-hmm. So something that will help some of you is to just realize that the advice that you give, the work that you do, is already priceless. So you can give a lot of it away for free and help the people who maybe live in other countries halfway around the world and can't get to your workshops. You can help them, and in helping them for free, they get to know you and get to realize, oh, I need to be in Florida with Monique for that time. And then you design your programs, ideally really well. Like, if all you create is crap, none of this advice actually helps. But if you are an amazing facilitator, if you design really good workshops and programs, then there will be people who see your work who are called to being there, and then you just make it easy for them to sign up and give you money, or whatever system you're using, so that they can then come to you either digitally in a program or in person, and then get the one-on-one or digital hand-holding that they need to implement the skills to create more transformation.
That's great. And we're also doing a free teleconference call at the same time, which can also be a really great marketing way to get email addresses and to get people to be able to call in and join in and feel like that they're a part of, you have a group call, so everyone gets to hear everyone else, and you have an opportunity to be able to speak in person to someone.
So for those of you tuning in on the phone or listening to this recording in the future, thanks for showing up and being interested.
And in about 20 minutes, then we'll take a couple of questions from those of you on the phone also. So,
can I say one other thing?
Yeah.
So this is the other meta. So while we're doing this on Monique's phone, a message popped up on her phone that storage almost full. So you're going to have situations come up that you weren't expecting. So I don't what happens then? Does it not record it?
No, it's still. Oh, it might not save it until I open up settings afterwards.
Oh, okay, good.
But right now, it's still working on Facebook.
Okay, great. That's the important part. Okay, great.
It's just saying that I need to delete some pictures or put them somewhere because I do too many videos and pictures.
Okay.
That's all.
So you talk, and I'm going to read questions.
Well, we're going to dive into, on this call, we're going to talk about self-love, self-acceptance, and self-accountability. Because to me, those three things are the keystone of being an extraordinary facilitator, because you're constantly doing your own work and you're constantly looking at those aspects of where can you show up. So like where Reid's talking about going and checking out other people's workshops and really living your life in a way that you're constantly refining your facilitation skills. And I see it as facilitating your life. Like I'm constantly finding things at workshops and the way that I do workshops to be able to interact with my lovers, with my children. Like there's this whole space of the more that you're willing to open yourself up and do this work on yourself on a consistent basis, then the more extraordinary you are as a human being and definitely as a facilitator. So let's start with self-love.
Okay.
How does self-love help translate to an excellent facilitator in your view?
Um, well, so the biggest thing that's alive in my communities, because there's so many overlapping communities. There's the kink community, the poly community, the professional sex geek community, the amateur sex geek community, the people that don't consider themselves sex educators and whatnot. Sacred sexuality community, cuddle party community. The biggest thing that I'm aware of, and six fingers pointing back at me, is self-love includes self-care, or maybe even like self-love equals self-care, and somebody can tweet that if you want to, and it's at Reid About Sex. But I've gotten myself into trouble, and there's some other sex educators in our world right now where we're having to do some cleanup because we didn't take care of ourselves. And so some of that for me is this kind of Superman complex, martyr, white savior, like as a cisgendered heteronormative, not heteronormative, holy crap, I'm totally queer, but like as a cisgendered white guy, I have this, like, I want to help, and I want to save everybody. And that was also present for me wanting to save my family. And for those of you who don't know my story, my mom and dad loved each other very, very much. My brothers, I have three brothers, we used to catch them making out in the kitchen all the time and cuddling on the couch. And
not your brothers, your parents.
Yeah,
right?
My parents, not my brothers. We weren't making out. But we catch my mom and dad, who were very affectionate in the beginning of their marriage. They didn't have the tools to work through their upsets, to ask for what they wanted, to talk about their desires, and eventually their marriage would get so turbulent for them, and their inability to communicate and stay connected would result in my mom self-medicating with alcohol, and she would become an alcoholic. My dad was of that generation where money's supposed to fix everything, so he became a workaholic. And we eventually watched two people who loved each other till the end. When my mom passed away first, their life kind of crumbled, and they lost the house that I grew up in, and they eventually lived in their van for a couple of years. It was really kind of fucked up. And that set me on this trajectory of how to not be like my mom and dad, and me being a geek, before we use that word, trying to find the tools that they were missing so I wouldn't have to repeat the family cycle. And that work is still going on. Like, even though I make a living doing sex education, that's all I do now. And I have a 401k and can afford health insurance and things like that. I'm still wrestling with all the money issues and shame I have and fear of failure that I inherited from my mom and dad. So for me to continue being good at what I do, I have to continually work on, like, there's always another layer of the onion to peel away, to work on. And the catch-22 is, as I'm doing that work, I need to take care of myself. Mm-hmm. And my job is helping other people heal their wounds, and become empowered and make leaps forward in their careers, which is also can take a lot out of you. Whereas if I was just doing this self-work, but maybe I was an accountant or worked at Starbucks, or was still a bartender, because I was a bartender for so long, I might not have to be like on double duty, taking care of myself. So for those of us who are in the healing and education professions, who work with people, especially those of us who work with people who are healing maybe a lot of trauma or wrestling with fragility because they're deconstructing privilege and things like that, that's a lot of heavy lifting that we do with our clients. However you identify, if you're a sex blogger, or a workshop leader, or a counselor, or a therapist, like whatever your journey is, you're a sex worker, hands-on healer, you're doing double duty often with your clients and your fans, right? Because even bloggers get trolled and a lot of negative feedback and stuff like that. We're all fighting and swimming against the current, and then we're also probably doing our own self-work. So we're working twice as hard, many of us, which means we need to take twice as good care of ourselves. And that self-care is a form of self-love.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks.
And I've been on my own journey around that, and really being able to take care of myself and finding the sleep and finding food. And like one of the things that I offer at the intensive is, if you're on the road a lot, then it's really, really important for you to be able to find the things that will help ground you, that will help you feel like home is on the road. And so for me, it's taking my favorite music to meditate with a pillow. Like, you wouldn't think you need to bring a pillow with you, but having my own feather pillow is just this amazing thing that feels like home. And then definitely my smoothie stuff, because then wherever I land, then I go shopping immediately. I have my smoothie stuff that I carry with me, and so I have these pieces that I know that I can take care of myself no matter what else is happening.
And side note, if you're into smoothies and Monique offers you a smoothie, say yes. I can. As a sex geek, I can concur. And as a smoothie geek, excellent smoothies over here.
Thanks, honey. All right, so should we go to self-acceptance or self-accountability
Sure,
next?
sure. You talk and I'll read comments.
Okay. So the next piece that we want to talk about is, let's do self-acceptance, because I feel like as you do a lot of work around self-love, then there comes a piece of being able to accept all the parts of yourself. And the more that you're able to accept you, then the more that I found that you're able to hold space in for whatever someone's bringing to you, because they're not triggering those pieces that you haven't learned to accept yet.
Yeah, I mean, well, you talk about self-love first for yourself, and I'll jump in.
Okay, so self-love or self-acceptance?
Or self-acceptance, rather.
So for me, then the piece around self-acceptance was really, it started with Cuddle Party, because Cuddle Party was this laboratory for me to be able to experiment, being able to ask for touch, being able to ask for just like having someone to sit and have a conversation with me. And a big part of was going on in my head all the time is, does someone really want to be here? Like, I grew up an empath, and so I was always walking on eggshells and trying to figure out what somebody wanted before they said it. And always trying to read someone's mind, and just like all kinds of stupid stuff of trying to read the situation. And so I was always cutting things short. Like, I always wanted to give, and even when someone was giving to me, then I could receive for 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, your turn. And so a big piece that started unraveling that was being able to accept that there was that piece of me that was constantly looking for someone not to want to be around me, or not to want, like, there was just so many things happening in my head. So I started saying, hey, can I practice with you? And so I'd start receiving, and then 5 minutes into it or 2 minutes into it, as soon as that voice started coming up in my head, I'm like, do you still want to be here? Is there anything else that you would rather be doing? And just having already opened up that space that I could ask. One time I asked 32 times in an hour whether the person still wanted to be there, and they're like, yeah. And just breathed with me, and there were tears, and there was like so much stuff, because all of the things inside of me felt like it wasn't okay to receive, and that there was no one, like, I needed to be able to offer more value than I was getting. And so that was a big piece for me, being able to accept that there was nothing I needed to offer except for accepting people's invitations.
And for you, before I answer, what's the distinction between self-acceptance and self-worth?
Self-worth is more around your self-esteem, and I see that more as pieces of confidence and having cultivated this place of empowerment, where self-acceptance is being able to be vulnerable with yourself and look at the pieces that you might not, they're not your ideal, or they're not the things that you really want to be, and start accepting what those pieces are.
Thank you. And I'm seeing people, typing and stuff like that. So if you have a question about business stuff or facilitating stuff, please leave the question, and we'll try to answer it during this live broadcast. I guess what are the kids calling it these days?
It's the live Facebook feed.
Live Facebook feed. And then also just keep leaving your comments. It's fun to read them. And thank you again this is my first. For those of you just joining us, we're busting my Facebook Live broadcast cherry. This is my first time doing this.
So exciting.
And then behind this phone is my camera recording the whole thing, which I'll throw up on YouTube, so that you can nerd out on the behind the scenes of this as well. So the thing about self-acceptance for me, as a facilitator, and again, like teaching the meta piece of it, like what you're going through is probably a version of what your clients, your followers, your fans, your customers, like, everybody's going through something that's probably really similar. The difference is that for us as educators and facilitators, we're further down the road, or further up the road, and maybe have a little bit more self-awareness and better words for what's happening, and our turnaround time's faster. So when I get triggered on a good day, I can ground, recognize that I'm triggered, and I know myself and what I can do to self-soothe and to kind of regain control over my nervous system and my blood chemistry, which just dumped a whole bunch of adrenaline and stress hormones and cortisol and stuff into my system. So I know how to navigate that, whereas somebody who comes to me for coaching or relationship, geeking out, doesn't know that they're triggered when they're having a conversation with their loved one or a family member, and then the whole thing kind of escalates. So I have better tools at de-escalating and self-regulation for myself, and I can get to them or remember to get to them quicker. On a bad day, I'm spinning out just like anybody because we're all human. So where self-acceptance helps for me as a facilitator is to know that I do this to me too, and that I forget my tools, and that I'm not a bad person, I'm just human, and that in that moment that I can realize or remember all of that, it's about recalibrating and self-correcting and getting myself back on the course. So where this would apply to being a facilitator is if you're running a workshop and you happen to have somebody who's, butting in all the time and raising their hand or trying to kind of take over the workshop, or is just really testing you, based on your family history, how you grew up, your experience with other facilitators who taught you or were your mentors. You could go, maybe your high school coach, you could spin out in all different directions. And then can you see yourself doing that on a good day during the workshop and regain control of yourself, which is a kind of emotional IQ and acuity, and then stay in control, being, you're keeping the bus on the road if you're the bus driver with all these people in your workshop. Can you regain control of yourself so that you can, continue the bus journey safely? Self-acceptance, if you start going into a shame spiral and you don't have the tools to get out of it, if you start kicking your own ass, as one mentor of mine said, this is a bad neighborhood, you will get mugged up here, and I like to help the muggers on a bad day. So how quickly can you realize that that's happening and ground and reorient to yourself and self-regulate or ask for help? If you're co-facilitating or if you have your support team, have them take over the room for a minute so that you can ground and get back into where you're going to be a good bus driver. If you can't accept your own limitations, and this is where it goes back into self-care, if you only think you're superhuman, that's going to bite you in the ass at some point, and it ends up biting your workshop attendees in the ass or your clients, and they don't deserve that.
Ethan just joined. Hi, Nate.
Hi, Nate. Yay, Pamela's there. Hi, Pamela. This is so cool.
Dr. I know it's.
I have to
Candace.
do this live stuff.
Honey, it's really fun.
I look like an old man. I'm like,
But-
oh, look. Awesome.
You don't look like an old
leave
man.
your questions. No, but I need new glasses. I've got still haven't figured out the glasses there.
I want to add before we move on
Yeah.
is that you often bring up the piece of that you help the muggers, and it's just a piece that you often say because it's so ingrained in what you talk about. But I just want to bring attention to that for a moment because I think it's beautiful that Reid has that level of awareness, and it's a piece that I've seen in you from even before I knew what it was that I was recognizing. And for me, self-acceptance can only happen when you have the awareness and then you have the choice to have the compassion. And so when Reid's stepping into the moment of, wow, I'm really helping the muggers right now, which I have many of those moments of that self-critique going on in my head, and when I'm able to be aware that those voices are happening and I'm helping that, then that's where I can actually start breaking that down and unraveling it and having compassion for it. But until I was able to be aware that I'm helping the muggers, then it just keeps going and escalating, and
it just gets worse and worse.
So I want to point out that because it just is such a that you speak into, it's really a big deal, and I think it's amazing that you teach it the way that you do and that you created that space, and so I just wanted to honor you for that.
Thanks. If you're looking for more tools about the hamsters, what I call my hamsters, you can just go to readaboutsex.com, and in the search bar just type in hamsters and hit return, and it'll bring up a couple of articles and things like that.
Do you want to, Christina's asking for ideas and ninja skills on handling the person who wants to lead the event. So we'll do a couple of those. Then we'll do self-accountability.
Yeah. So one is to acknowledge people, like understand something's going on for them, and so invite them like in a compassionate way, depending on, and this is my version, right? So you're going to adjust this for your tone and how you run your rooms and what's appropriate for the workshops that you're doing. One of the things that I like to do is I acknowledge the person for wanting to be helpful. And then I invite them to talk to me at break so I can give them some focused time. And that I'm going to stick to what the workshop I have planned and just kind of, keep going. So it's kind of like the bus driver, the person who wants to drive the bus. You're like, hey, I'm driving right now, so why don't you come talk to me about this thing when we are at our next break, like next bus stop break.
Rest stop.
And then the other thing that you can do is, because sometimes what they're trying to share or call you on, or maybe even call you out on, is legit. And so just keep your facilitator hat on and be like, okay, so let's deal with this as if it's not the concern that you wish somebody was bringing up, but facilitate handling that concern or that question. And then if the ninja move, ninja squared, is at the beginning of your workshop when you're kind of setting the tone and giving people the house rules. Let people know that, hey, I want you, if this is true for you, I want you to raise your hand and ask questions while we're going, but I might not answer them in the moment. I might want to, put it on hold and talk to you during break, or bring it up later because, later in the workshop we'll be dealing with that. But I want you to feel like you can speak and engage with me. For some of you, you're not going to want to do that because it's not your style. But if it is your style, one of the things that's really good for is you're role modeling and encouraging people to speak up in the moment, which is just good sex ed advice, right?
I think it's good, just human advice.
Well, yeah, but it can get you into hot water if you don't feel like you can facilitate your way out of it. Because sometimes you just have people who want to take over your class, and that kind of person, you may have to compassionately and with an open heart basically kind of, smack their hand chakra and be like, listen, it feels like you're trying to take over the class. Is that true? Like, is there, because you can't right now, because this is my class. And please come talk to me at break. But do that in a loving and compassionate way, kind of like, it's almost like a heckler if you were a comedian, and you want to handle that really sweetly if you can, because sometimes that person is jumping in and trying to take over your class because they have trust issues, and what's happening is they're starting to trust you and they're unconsciously testing you. Sometimes, not always, sometimes they're just a dick or an asshole or whatever word you want to use.
They like to be heard.
Yeah.
You want to be center of attention.
And, build those skill sets for yourself. I mean, that's something in some of my courses, like Cuddle Party Facilitator Training, which I don't run anymore, but they cover that. You'll be talking about stuff like that. I can talk to us more at the training as well. And in another event I run, Sex Geek Conservatory, is touches on stuff like that. So you can find resources and then find a way that is really congruent for you to be able to handle tough personalities in your room.
That's great.
Cool.
So that actually dovetails into self-accountability.
All right.
And helping, like, calling the person on. You get to be accountable because I'm calling you on what's really happening in the room, and you do that expertly. So how do you translate that into self-accountability for yourself as a facilitator?
The way that I handle self-accountability, the bigger picture way is I have a couple of people in my life that they're basically like, if my ego, and I have a big ego, but I think I have a good working relationship with it and a lot of self-awareness.
You have a big ego, Reid?
Just ask anybody. I mean, just type I agree if you agree. But I have some people in my communities who watch me, and in a good way, like so if my ego broke its chains and I went on a rampage, they would be like, take the shot. Like their job is to hold me accountable and to tell me when I'm off track. So that I have people, and some of these people do not like me. So if you really want to put your feet to the fire, have accountability people in your life who don't like you, because you'll get honesty from them. So I have a few of those people in my world, and I just trust that they're kind of monitoring, like they've agreed to be that for me. And then self accountability for me is, my 2 mantras is leave the campsite better than you found it, and then extraordinary customer service, which are bumper sticker mantras for advice, but for me are really, really important and help me know if I'm on course. And then the thing I had to add, which weaves back into self-love, is extraordinary customer service and leaving the campsite better than I found it also includes my campsite and how the customer service I give myself, which I didn't have dialed in before, which has caused some grief in my life because I thought I was superhuman and I'm not, and I overextended myself, and so then we're kind of back to the self-care part.
I love it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Someone earlier had said that it was a great mantra of you talking about helping the muggers, and it really is a great metaphor for them to be able to get clear on that. So
Yeah.
it's scrolled up, so I wanted to let you know they were acknowledging.
And
that.
I wish that line, that context came from a time when I was doing a lot of work in landmark education, and I can't remember which landmark forum leader said that, so I can't attribute it. And I really wish I could attribute it because it's such a great context, but I didn't come up with that. I just want to be honest about that.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, me being accountable.
I love it. All right. Well, now you get to be vulnerable. So you get to share with everyone what's one mistake that you've made, or something that you would see others might classify as a mistake, and then what was the gift that you got from it? From being
My
a facilitator.
jaw just got tight. One mistake of the many.
Which one feels the most vulnerable to share right now?
I would say the mistake that, there's a couple that come to mind, but the one I'm going to pick is making exceptions and holding exceptions too long. So this is actually good poly advice and just good relationship advice in general. Whenever you try something new, put a time limit on it, and then create the best that you can context around how you're going to handle if at the end of that time limit you choose not to go forward. Where this applies to us as facilitators is you will come up with great protocols and guidelines for yourself. You will come up with policies for how let's say you do relationship coaching. You will come up with policies for yourself that help you become a better coach. I only work with people for 3 to 6 months. And that's going to be your policy, because there's somebody out there who I work with people for 7 years at a time, and it's great. Everybody's different, so your policies are going to be your own. And in my case, 3 months to 6 months is really my sweet spot for coaching people. And there are times when I'm working with such amazing human beings who are making such great progress that I want to work longer with them. I want to make an exception and extend the window of working with them. And at a certain point, you will think you can continue making exceptions for your policies. And there's a reason there's a policy. It's supposed to keep you in your sweet spot so that you have lots of resources, and so you won't get passive aggressive to the people that you coach or mentor, or the people that come to your workshops. And so the biggest mistake I have made a couple of times, and again, like I think I've learned it. I've learned my from my mistakes. Is if you're going to make an exception to a policy, put a time limit on it, and then that's the exception, and you make that exception once. If you keep extending the exception, you're going to bite yourself in the ass, and it's not going to be pleasant, and it will impact it. It risks impacting your clients or your workshop attendees or whomever. It will impact them. It risks impacting them greatly, and in some cases re-traumatizing people if you're working with trauma survivors and things like that. And the other thing is, you will become passive aggressive, not just to your clients, but to people in your life, because you are now not taking care of yourself. And we're back to self-care and self-love. And that's a hard lesson for some people to learn, and I think it's something that we all have to struggle with. May your struggle be quick. May this call help you leapfrog over that challenge so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And this is why talking to each other and our peers and having mentors is so important, because it shortens your learning curve, and hopefully you're not going to have to go through, the same kinds of hell or as much hell as some of us have had to go through just with ourselves.
Yeah.
What about you?
What about me? What?
With do you want to share anything with them, like a vulnerable piece or a mistake? I'm fine with it just being me, but
Let's see. Well, one of the pieces for me is thinking that I needed to have it all together, and that's why Cuddle Party was the perfect platform for me to be able to start being a facilitator, because I had an actual script to read. And so there was probably the first 2 years of being a facilitator, there was so much in wanting to get it right and wanting to create the space of, that everyone left happy, that I was doing a good job, that I was transforming lives, and it was my agenda. And there's still a few times, like when Reid and I are teaching energetic sex, or having these spaces where I really want to do the heart fuck, or there's a few things that I really want to have added in that can still be my own agenda. And what I found as I've refined my facilitation skills is being able to read what's happening in the room. And for me, a great example is when someone's trying to take over the room, or even if inadvertently, like they have a lot of tears coming up, or they have a lot of emotions, then that can be the greatest tool that you can use in your workshop. And so those of you that come to my workshops know that all I have is an outline. I have here's my intention and my outline, and then I go with whatever's alive in the room. And so even if I come to your town and I do the same workshop 8 times, it's going to be 8 completely different workshops, because I'm using what's happening in the room. And to me, that was the greatest gift of being able to figure out there's no right way, and trying to hold on so tightly to what it is that I think that the workshop needs to look like is actually the opposite of what the workshop space is wanting, and for you to be able to serve your attendees the best.
And I'll add on to that. We'll jump back to the bus driver analogy. There's a smart way to drive, but what's happening inside the bus can look like a lot of different things. And this is where we're back now to the facilitatorship. Because I know too many people in the sex ed and sacred sexuality worlds and even sex worker worlds who are kind of like freewheeling, like, this is the Wild West, I'm a maverick. And I think they're just bad drivers. And then they're tossing people in their events all over the place, and people are getting bumped and bruised, and they're calling that growth.
Oh, I'm a great driver.
And you are a great driver. So the context is, there's a way to facilitate and create strong containers and fulfill on intentions and be mindful and aware and be flexible. That it's not an excuse because you want to drive recklessly to just claim that if you're on my bus, then you consented to this. And that has, from a geeky perspective, that has a lot to do with this idea of minimum effective dosage, which is, what is an appropriate amount of growth for somebody to experience so they can integrate it rather than overloading them. And as a sex educator and as a jackass, the analogy I use is, just because the butt plug can fit doesn't mean you ram it in. What if growth, even if it's a little bit painful, could be pleasurable? And that often means going slower and being more mindful of your client, your customer, your attendees. So that was there. I'm off my soapbox.
Well, it's great, and I feel like that distinction can come from you being able to hold the space for the people. So if you're still looking to be the Wild West
absolutely.
Maverick, then you're holding an agenda. So you're still not holding the people what's the best possible good for them. So
Yeah.
as you refine your facilitator skills, then it's being able to create that container, and then within that container, then you're following what's best for the whole group.
Sure.
Within
And then
the
so
tools and
in that
skills.
situation, you're kind of like a jazz musician who's riffing with your fellow musicians, or riffing off of the audience.
And it's incredible.
And that ability to listen and see where your attendees are at, that's a high level of facilitator mastery versus, you're gonna fit. They're gonna do exercise A and then B and then we must do C or else the workshop is not going well. That kind of non-surrender and forcing people, especially as sex educators and as healers, that's weird, because you're just re-perpetuating a lot of the blame and shame and forcing onto people that we experience in day-to-day culture. And, we should be an exception to that.
I agree.
And
But
then,
at the beginning, it sounds like such a good idea because you're all prepared and you're going to do a good job and you're going to bring all these pieces.
we're
for
going to crack
everyone
them
to
open.
do.
We're going to get that butt plug in, I assure you.
So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes
Yeah.
that I got to learn from.
Got it. Awesome.
Thank you for being on your soapbox.
You're welcome. I hope that was valuable to people.
They said yes.
Oh, okay. I can't. How can you
I said
read
thank you
that?
for
What are
that.
you, like a part eagle or something?
A little bit. It's part of my heightened senses, honey.
Oh wait, no. I have.
Now you can see it?
I have bifocals, and yes. Oh my God, I can read. Holy crap!
There you go.
See,
You've
that's
seen the
why
light.
I didn't. I have to practice that. Okay.
So
Thank you so much, everybody, for your comments.
Let's double check with the people on the phone and see if there's one or two people here that have called in that have a question for Reid. And so if you're on mute, then press *6, and we'll give you a moment to unmute yourself. If you're watching this, if you want to ask a question online on Facebook, then we're going to give you a couple minutes to ask a question before we continue and wrap up our call.
This is so much fun. I
Isn't
totally
it?
have to do this.
I know.
And then for those of you who are just joining us, I've got my video camera in the background here. We're filming in the little nook up at the top of my loft. So I've got my camera filming the whole thing, which I'll throw up on YouTube, so you can see what it looks like from behind.
We have Facebook Live and we have
Facebook
free
Live, and
teleconference
we have
call.
a teleconference that that's being recorded, and this gets recorded too, right?
It does, yeah.
Cool. There's been some just geeky businessy stuff. There's been some really good research that if you like being live on things like this, and in front of a camera or in front of your phone, this is a really great way to teach and to have people get to know you in a way that just feels super authentic, because you can't control for her phone losing storage memory or a light falling down.
Or
And
what
so,
people say, or
yeah, or what
how
people
they're
say.
taking what we're saying.
So this can be a really authentic way for some of us to work with people and help people, and then invite them to come take our courses. So like the meta piece is what we're doing right now, is a way for you to get to know Monique if you don't know her, get to know me, to be like, well, do I want to go to this intensive? And then it's whereintheworldismoniquedarling.com to find information about the intensive and to register.
Readaboutsex.com.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have a post about your intensive, but I would go to your place.
Well, if
first.
they're wanting more information.
Oh, if you
about
want anything about me, yeah, go to readaboutsex.com, REID about sex. Sex Geek Summer Camp, if you're interested in an actual summer camp for sex educators on business, like all that stuff, where you can get free videos and training, and then if you want to go deeper, then come and join us for certain events. So that can be this approach can be great for just business, but also in helping people.
and my friend Chantal is saying it's scary, no? And like that just dovetails into what I wanted to say anyway. And this is so much fun for me because this is Reid's first time being on a live video, with, like here on Facebook Live. And so him being my mentor and like just like steps ahead of me and so much, then it's so much fun when I have a few things I do first.
You've been kicking ass
And-
on social media.
And you know more, like maybe you can speak for a minute afterwards, but Reid's watched my progression and he tried and get me to come get on videos and he's like, Monique, you're scared again. And for whatever reason, when Facebook Live came out, then I'm like, let's try this. And it just happened to be the week, like the reason I like to say it's a parade is I was sitting in this class and someone was talking about having a parade for them. And I'm like, you know what? I actually want a parade for me. And when I first got on Facebook Live and saw all the hearts and the things, it was like, this is actually a parade for Monique. And it was like such a big step to be able to claim that there's a part of me that would love to have that adoration. And so being here live and being able to talk to everyone has fulfilled that space of being able to interact and unedited and be able to have people see me, have us be able to talk with one another. You get to share, you get to see without me trying to filter what the words are. And so whatever it was scary for the first little bit, and it was scary thinking about getting on, but now it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's filtered through, so now I've been doing a lot more videos that aren't even live, and they're coming out unedited, and it's kind of fun. The live Facebook is definitely fun, so it might be scary at the beginning, it might continue to be scary if it's not your thing, but I encourage you to just go try it and see, because it might have the capacity to be able, one, whether you're doing a YouTube video or you're doing a live Facebook video, or like just try it many different ways, because one way might be the hack for you to be able to do it always.
Yeah, and this is more of a conversation we talk about at camp, Sex Geek Summer Camp. I also talk about it, I have an online version of camp. It's called Sex Geek School for Gifted Sex Geeks. And for you comic book nerds, yes, that is an intentional homage to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters from the X-Men. But it's the idea of finding your teaching style. Like, so here's an example. Like, I'll just teach this piece for free because it might help somebody.
Yay.
So we often think, like, if you look at Monique and you're like, oh my goodness, like, I want to be like Monique. What we tend to do is we copy and paste and think we need to be successful, to do it exactly the way Monique does it. And then if that freaks you out too much, then you start beating yourself up and thinking you're not ready, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, and then it shuts us down. This isn't just for sex educators, this is just people in life in general. So the thing here is, ask yourself, what is your preferred teaching style? Like, what is the way of passing on information that thrills you the most? For some of you, it's going to be writing.
People are loving what
Either
you're saying.
blogs or books or something like that. There's a reason right now that I've been in the industry for so long and I still don't have a book out. Writing is not my preferred teaching style. Like getting in front of a live camera or a live audience and being a dork, that's my preferred teaching style. So this comes easy to me in a way where once the camera's rolling, or once the broadcast is happening, or once the workshop starts, it's easy for me, it's fun for me. I excel in that area, whereas writing makes me feel horrible. Now there's a way for me to write a book eventually and not be too traumatized, but ask yourself what's your preferred speaking, or what's your preferred teaching style. Is it maybe a podcast? Is it one-on-one coaching is the way you like to teach? Is it leading workshops? Is it never being in front of a live audience at all, but just recording? Is it recording something live? Is it, creating an audio program? Is it a blog post? Is it, is your preferred teaching style interviewing other educators and exposing their work to the world? And then making your living off of referrals. Like, there's so many different ways. Like, are you a host and you interview other people? So start thinking about what your teaching style is, like, and what are the top 1 or 2 teaching styles that make you happiest, that thrill you the most and come easiest to you, and then start there. This also works with social media. If Monique didn't like Facebook so much, shooting videos or doing live stream would be harder. Like, you doing a Periscope might be harder because
Yeah, I've never done one.
you don't like Periscope yet, but you love Facebook, so Facebook comes out with live and you're like, fuck yeah. Like, oh my God, like I actually get to like kind of talk to the people and share my thoughts. So again, your social media style, some of you want to post, if you're already leaving really lengthy Facebook posts, you're probably secretly a blogger, all right? But if you're like, gosh, can I just write one sentence? I'm telling you, go to Twitter immediately. You'll have way more fun on Twitter if you don't like writing long things. And then you find those social media things. If you like pictures and putting text on top of pictures, Pinterest and Instagram are waiting for you. So again, like you can find the social media that works best for you to dip your toe in, and combine it with your teaching styles.
Which brings us back to come to the intensive in November, because that's the whole idea in having all of these different extraordinary teaching styles. So what happens is you come to this house that we're all going to live in together. There's many bedrooms, there's a hot tub, there's a pool, you're going to have food that's going to be made for you every day, and we all get to learn together. It's limited to 12 attendees, so you get this really intimate one-on-one contact. We have afternoon breakout sessions where you get to go deeper in the things that may have inspired you. And so the whole idea is that as these teachers are bringing the best of their stuff, that you get to pick and choose what's resonating with you, and then you get to ask questions and you get to practice in how would that work for you as a facilitator. Because it's one thing that I'm adamant about, that each of us are the only ones that have our own way. No teacher is going to have the way for you. The best they can offer are tools and skills that you can start implementing and trying on to see what works for you. And the intensive is the most amazing thing that I know of, to be able to have that in an intense amount of period.
And at the beginning of this broadcast, there were only 2 spots left. So I'm just letting you know. If you're already a yes, then go to Where in the World is Monique Darling, and where do they find? What happens when they go there? Where is it? Where do they click on the things?
Then it just has my list of events.
Okay,
so it's in Florida in November, and I'm going to put it here as soon as we get done with this call. And the price is $39.95, and I had discount tickets at the beginning for $32.50. And so then you get to save $750. So if you guys write me and say that you saw us on this broadcast, then you can have it for the discount price. So there you go.
Look at you! That was wow.
So write me and come play with us, because it's a once in a lifetime experience of having all of these different teachers. Like that's in the other calls that I've been on, then that's what the other teachers have brought up, is that sometimes they interact or they see each other or they know who they are, but the original, like the teachers that I brought together are there because they've been in my life. Like it's this unique conglomerate of teachers that may never ever teach together or be with one another, but they've touched me in some way, and I see value in the pieces that they bring, and so I put it together and woven it so that you get to have that value in this week long. Because that's what I do best.
So if you like smorgasbords and then having a bunch of different examples of different ways to do things, teachers facilitating just as themselves, like everyone has a different tone, then this would be really good. If anybody's on this broadcast who was at last year's facilitator intensive, then you can share what your experience was in text. And then I've only heard great things about it. People who went had an amazing time.
Yeah, I can tell you of the 11 people that were there last year, because one person had an emergency and had to drop out at the last minute, then of the 11 that came, 9 of them are now facilitating in the ways that they came hoping to be able to facilitate, and the other 2 are well on their way. They just wanted to take a few more trainings. So it really helped open up the space and to give these guys permission to be able to step into the ways they want to facilitate.
And do you want to tell people who's teaching and what they're going to be teaching, or?
Well, we can run through the list. We have Destin Garrick, and he's going to be talking about how to bring this work. Both him and Pamela Madsen, which both come from very different backgrounds and different aspects, are both bringing pieces of how to bring your work mainstream, because they're both really, really good at being able to bring it so that other people are able to hear it. So they're going to bring their own tools and skill sets in how to bring what you love, especially around sex education or whatever your unique factors that you're bringing in, and how to make that more mainstream. And then we have Sean Roop that's coming to teach about Tantra, and also how to, what are the 5 things that anyone's going to come to you about for personal sessions, and how to create amazing personal sessions. We have Lawrence Lanoff that's like this maverick, the energy master, and like his favorite thing is to be able to break apart belief systems, and he's going to show you what are the 5 games of life that everyone's playing and how to be able to instantly zero in on that and help your clients, help your attendees by starting with yourself so you can really be aware of what game that you're playing. And we have Brian and Karen Craig that are coming in because it's so important to me. Like, I want inclusivity so much. And earlier this year, they invited me out to their African American conference, and Peter and I were the only Caucasians that were there. And we had this beautiful experience of leading the silent puja where everyone got to eye gaze, and we had a lot of the men there that like just tears were there, and there was like all of this, what's happening energy. And afterwards they shared that, well, Monique, in our culture, then we don't look at one another unless we're gay or we want to start a fight. And by the end of our presentation, they were like raising their hand and saying, can you pair me with another man? And it was just so beautiful to be able to have that. And so I brought them to come in and talk about being a couples, because they're great couples counselors, and they run retreats, but also because they share in my desire to be able to bring inclusivity and bring about helping people feel included, whatever gender, whatever race, whatever you identify as, that we're having those conversations. And I feel like if you're not having those conversations, then there's no excuse. Like, you can't be an extraordinary facilitator unless you're willing to have the conversations so that you can be more inclusive to everyone that's out there. And then we have Amy Udis, that's an amazing, amazing facilitator. She teaches intentional orgasm, and she's going to come in and do a day long on hands-on work on prostate, yoni massage, or pussy massage, and lingam or cock massage, and being able to do the hands-on work and show you how to do that too.
What am I teaching?
Well, we told them at the beginning.
Yeah, but can you tell me again?
Reid's wrapping everything up. So
it's mostly because I want to make sure I show up and teach the right stuff.
Reid's going to help you really get clear on what it is that you're wanting to offer. So you've had this whole week with all these extraordinary people, because my segment is all about self-care and self-love, and like Peter and I teach the 9 S's of being able to have self-care. And so I give you these daily practices to be able to take care of you. So then you've had all these extraordinary teachers all week, and then Reid's going to help you take from those pieces and really refine what your offering is. What is it that you want to bring to the world, and then what are the greatest aspects to be able to make money at that? Because he does it really good.
I think I can help.
We're going to do an energetic sex play party. Like, those are the fun things. The evening courses are us getting to show you the behind the scenes of how to run events. And so we're going to do our most popular events, like Cuddle Party and our energetic sex play party, and these different aspects of being able to show you what goes on in us throwing these and how we hold the space of the room, and you get the meta version.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
So
I'm excited.
Anything else you want to add?
No. If you feel called to this, come join us in Florida. If there are 2 spots left at the beginning of this broadcast, and you sold out last year, and we still got a couple of weeks before things happen in Florida. So if this sounds exciting to you, go to whereintheworldismoniquedarling.com, find it on the events, and check out the details. Is there like money back guarantees and stuff like that? Like how are the guarantees for things? Because I'm a nerd about guarantees.
Yeah.
Is it like 30 days money back guarantee for people who register, and then am I putting you on the spot now?
No, I haven't put anything in about it, but I'm fine having that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you could have a 30-day money back guarantee, which if you're 30 days before the event, if it's less than 30 days, you can't have that guarantee. That is something that would make me feel safe, and for those of us doing business online, that is the law. So you should post it, because it helps people realize that they can make, because some people get inspired, they'll make the purchase, but then they have to go home and talk to their spouse or their loved one that, honey, I just spent however many thousands of dollars. So a 30-day money-back guarantee does a couple of different things. It helps. It's a thing about risk reversal. It helps people feel safer that they can make a purchase and then get their money back. Ideally, no questions asked. Just give people their money back, which means don't spend the money immediately if you can help it. And then it lowers their risk reversal so that they can make the purchase, but then you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. And also 30 days just happens to be the law on that.
Well, I have a $1,000 non-refundable deposit just because we only have 12 people. So you can get everything but the $1,000 refunded.
Great, cool, awesome.
So we'd love for you guys to come play with us. Reid, thank you. I'm so excited that I got to bust your Facebook Live cherry.
Yay!
And just sending you guys so much love. Those on the call, then we'll be sending out the call later on for you that were able to join us live. And just so much appreciation to you, to each of you. Like, I get to live my dream life because there's more and more people wanting to have these conversations and wanting to dive deep into the realm of authenticity and being more of who we are.
Yay.
So.
Thanks for joining
you.
us. Thank you for experiencing me losing my Facebook Live virginity. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Hope to see you in Florida.
Okay.
Now what happens?
And it
This
ends.
session is no longer being recorded.
And let's see. 426 viewers.
426 viewers. And then you hit
Yeah,
save.
but it wouldn't let me save it because I don't have enough settings. So good thing
Because
you
you don't have enough
recorded it.
storage?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's here. I hope it's here.
What's up, guys?
Hey, hey, hey. There it is.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Yeah.
The recording on this end works, so it's just going to take some time to buffer, and then I'll be able to get it out to everyone.
All right. Good job, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thanks, honey. I'll call you later.
Anything else you need from me?
No.
Okay, that sounds good.
Bye.
Okay, let's put
Bye.
the link. Right here. What should we go do now, Reid?
I think we should have sex. Let me just check my email real quick and make sure the world didn't fall apart.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, Sex Geek. If you would like to continue with the brain sex, do me a favor and click subscribe right here. If you'd like to watch me on social media, that's where you're going to go. Next video, maybe? And if you really would like your own Sex Geek t-shirt, please click right here, right now. Boop. No, really, like...